असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु।
He was the son of a king. He lived between 6 and 7 centuries before Christ. He resigned his royal state and went to live in the jungle and among the lowest and most unhappy classes, so as to learn the secret of human pain and misery by personal experience, tested every known austerity of the Hindu ascetics and excelled them all in his power of endurance, sounded every depth of woe in search of the means to alleviate it, and at last came out victorious and showed the world the way to salvation. As long as the human heart is capable of being touched by tales of heroic self-sacrifice, accompanied by purity and celestial benevolence of motive, it will cherish his memory. Why should I go into the particulars of that noble life? You will remember that he was the son of the king of Kapilavastu, a mighty sovereign, whose opulence enabled him to give the heir of his house every luxury that a voluptuous imagination could desire, and that the future Buddha was not allowed even to know, much less observe, the miseries of ordinary existence. How beautifully Edwin Arnold has painted for us in The Light of Asia the luxury and languor of that Indian court, where love was gaoler and delights its bars. We are told that the king commanded that within those walls no mention should be made of age or death, sorrow or pain or sickness. And every dawn the dying rose was plucked, the dead leaves hid, all evil sights removed. For, said the king, if he shall pass his youth far from such things as move to wistfulness, and brooding on the empty eggs of thought, the shadow of his fate, too vast for man, may fade. Belike, and I shall see him grow to that great stature of fair sovereignty, when he shall rule all lands, if he will rule, the King of Kings and glory of his time. You know how vain were all the precautions taken by the Father to prevent the fulfillment of the prophecy that his beloved Son would be the coming Buddha. Though all suggestions of death were banished from the royal palace, though the city was bedecked with flowers and gay flags, and every painful object removed from sight when the young Prince Siddhartha visited it, yet the decrees of destiny were not to be baffled. The voices of the spirits, the wandering winds, and the devas whispered the truth of human sorrows into his listening ear. And when the appointed hour arrived, the Suddha Devas threw the spell of slumber over the household. Steeped in profound lethargy, the sentinels, as we are told was done by an angel to the gaolers of Peter's prison, rolled back the triple gates of bronze, strewed the sweet mogra flowers thickly beneath his horse's feet to muffle every sound, and he was free. Free? Yes. To resign every earthly comfort, every sensuous enjoyment, the sweets of royal power, the homage of a court, the delights of domestic life, gems, the glitter of gold, rich stuffs, rich food, soft beds, the songs of trained musicians, and of birds kept prisoners in gay cages, the murmur of perfumed waters plashing in marble basins, the delicious shade of trees, in gardens where art had contrived to make nature even lovelier than herself. He leaps from his saddle when at a safe distance from the palace, flings the jeweled rein to his faithful groom, Channa, cuts off his flowing locks, gives his rich costume to a hunter in exchange for his own, plunges into the jungle, and is free. To tread its paths with patient, stainless feet, making its dusty bed, its loneliest wastes, my dwelling and its meanest things my mates, clad in no prouder garb than outcasts wear, fed with no meals save what the charitable give of their will, sheltered by no more pomp than the dim cave lends or the jungle bush. This will I do, because the woeful cry of life in all flesh living cometh up into my ears, and all my soul is full of pity for the sickness of this world, which I will heal, if healing may be found, by uttermost renouncing and strong strife. Thus masterfully does Sir Edwin Arnold depict the sentiment which provoked this great renunciator, the testimony of thousands of millions who, during the last 25 centuries, have professed the Buddhistic religion, proves that the secret of human misery was at last solved by this divine self-sacrifice, and the true path to nirvana opened. The joy that he brought to the hearts of others, Buddha first tasted himself. He found that the pleasures of the eye, the ear, the taste, touch and smell are fleeting and deceptive. He who gives value to them brings only disappointment and bitter sorrow upon himself. The social differences between men he found were equally arbitrary and elusive. Caste bred hatred and selfishness, riches strife, envy and malice. So in founding his faith, he laid the bottom of his foundation stones upon all this worldly dirt, and its dome in the clear serene of the world of spirit. He who can mount to a clear conception of nirvana will find his thought far away, above the common joys and sorrows of petty men. As to one who ascends to the top of Chimborazo or the Himalayan crags, and sees men on the earth's surface crawling and fro like ants, so equally small do bigots and sectarians appear to him. The mountain climber has under his feet the very clouds from whose sun-painted shapes the poet has figured to himself the golden streets and glittering domes of the materialistic heaven of a personal God. Below him are all the various objects out of which the world's pantheons have been manufactured. Around, above, immensity. And so also, far down the ascending plane of thought that leads from the earth towards the infinite, the philosophic Buddhist describes, at a different plateau, the heavens and hells, the gods and demons of the materialistic creed builders. What are the lessons to be derived from the life and teachings of this heroic prince of Kapilavastu? Lessons of gratitude and benevolence, lessons of tolerance for the clashing opinions of men who live, move, and have their being, think and aspire only in the material world. The lesson of a common tie of brotherhood among all men. Lessons of manly self-reliance, of equanimity in breasting whatsoever of good or ill may happen. Lessons of the meanness of the rewards, the pettiness of the misfortunes of a shifting world of illusions. Lessons of the necessity for avoiding every species of evil thought and word, and for doing, speaking, and thinking everything that is good, and for the bringing of the mind into subjection, so that these may be accomplished without selfish motive or vanity. Lessons of self-purification and communion, by which the elusiveness of externals and the value of internals are understood. Well might Saint Hilaire burst into the panegyric that Buddha is the perfect model of all the virtues he preaches. His life has not a stain upon it. Well might the sober critic Max Müller pronounce his moral code one of the most perfect which the world has ever known. No wonder that in contemplating that gentle life, Edwin Arnold should have found his personality the highest, gentlest, holiest and most beneficent in the history of thought, and been moved to write his splendid verses. It is 2,500 years since humanity put forth such a flower. Who knows when it did before? Gautama Buddha, Sakyamuni, has ennobled the whole human race. His fame is our common inheritance. His law is the law of justice, providing for every good thought, word, and deed its fair reward, for every evil one its proper punishment. His law is in harmony with the voices of nature and the evident equilibrium of the universe. It yields nothing to importunities or threats, can neither be coaxed nor bribed by offerings to abate or alter one jot or tittle of its inexorable course. Am I told that Buddhist laymen display vanity in their worship and ostentation in their almsgiving? That they are fostering sects as bitterly as Hindus? So much the worse for the layman. There is the example of Buddha and his law. Am I told that Buddhist priests are ignorant, idle fosterers of superstitions grafted on their religion by foreign kings? So much the worse for the priests. The life of their divine master shames them and shows their unworthiness to wear his yellow robe or carry his beggar's bowl. There is the law, immutable, menacing. It will find them out and punish. And what shall we say to those of another caste of character, the humble-minded, charitable, tolerant, religiously aspiring hearts among the laity, and the unselfish, pure, and learned of the priests, who know the precepts and keep them? The law will find them out also, and when the book of each life is written up and the balance struck, every good thought or deed will be found entered in its proper place. Not one blessing that ever followed them from grateful lips throughout their earthly pilgrimage will be found to have been lost, but each will help to ease their way as they move from stage to stage of being, unto nirvana, where the silence lives. This was Dare to Do Motivation, reading The Life of Buddha and Its Lessons by H.S. Olcott. Thank you so much for watching, and stay blessed.